The Frozen North, episode 89!
VR first impressions.
Help.
That was awful.
It's Saturday night!
Do you know where your children are?
Oh boy.
Bobby Moynihan! You know what I'm doing.
Saturday Night Live.
No.
Oh, well.
Starring...
Piece of toast!
Yes.
And another piece of toast. So I was like, that was close.
And a hole through which the boys can see it all.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 89 of the Frozen North Gaming Podcast. My name is JJ, and I'm here with a couple of friends of mine. First up, you know him, and a couple of you love him. It's Mark.
Howdy, y'all! I'm Mark.
Solid. I like how you can go like from just like belting that out to just calm, cool, and collected.
Of course.
That's nice.
That's what you get with 3 years of experience.
Touche, sir. And joining us from the Fool's Lantern podcast, as well as the upcoming FNVGBC. Huh? Yeah, nailed that. We got Tank.
Hi, guys. I'm Tank. I'm great. How are you?
Just peachy.
Good.
All right. We're here to talk a little bit about VR today. We got it's kind of we're in that pre-E3 lull still, so going to be a bit of a slow news day, and we figured we'd just talk about our initial impressions with VR. So, but before that, why don't we get into what we've been playing? Mark, what you been playing?
You know what I've been playing.
I do.
Guess what just came out? Blood and Wine, the colossal expansion for The Witcher 3. And to celebrate Blood and Wine coming out, I started playing Hearts of Stone, the previous expansion. I've gotten pretty deep into it. There's a whole new like crafting system that's super expensive, and which is cool because you feel really rich at the end of the game. So that it's good that they're sinking some of your money.
Right.
The new enemies are really mobile, so it's forcing me to switch up my play style, which is also cool, and it's fantastic. And I've been to the region of Toussaint in Blood and Wine. I just went there just to see what it was all about, and it is beautiful.
Is it Witcher French wine country?
It is. It's yeah.
Nice.
It's exactly that. Yeah, it's beautiful. And I've also just played
Did you say poo?
He did.
No, I did not say
that. Is in fact the sequence of sounds that you made was
Yep,
I've just played poo.
Pool Nation VR,
Oh, okay.
which is very good.
I was looking at buying that.
You should buy it. It's got really cool controls. The physics are super good. Like, it's a really well-rounded, well-developed pool game. But also, you can go around the bar and like spawn beer bottles and throw them at people and smash them. You can go play darts. You can pick up chairs and throw them at the bartender.
Nice.
Interesting.
It's pretty cool.
Very cool.
And and I've put like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours into Uncharted 3. And it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Uncharted 3?
Yeah.
And you're caught up on Final Fantasy IX,
Yes.
of course. I hope.
No, I didn't play any of it.
You liar, because you screenshotted it.
Yeah.
Tank, what about you?
I Final Fantasy 9, played a lot of that. I played some Final Fantasy 10 because that just came out on PC. So I popped that in to see how that thing
Steam?
looks. Yeah, it's on Steam
Does
now.
it have all the cool things that
It's the
9
same
has?
thing that was on the PS4 release. And yes, it does have the boosters and stuff too.
Whoa.
So, yeah. Kind of spent 20 minutes with that, though, just being like, oh, look at that. I'm playing Final Fantasy X on a computer. Jeepers.
How about that?
The biggest thing I have spent my time playing has been Doom. Because
I've heard amazing things about
Fellas, that new Doom is pretty darn good.
it. Excellent.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up as soon as I finish the games I've playing.
That's my
right
problem
now.
too. I have a
3 years of experience.
I've got about a 1.5 foot tall like console backlog right now of games I've just purchased, and I'm like, I'll get to those.
Yeah.
Like I just got Uncharted 4, and I'm like haven't taken the shrink wrap off yet. It's like I need to play some of this stuff. But Doom has been the biggest thing I've spent my time on lately.
Cool.
So that is great.
Fantastic. I have been obviously finished up where we needed to be on Final Fantasy IX, but other than that, still playing a little bit of Star Wars here and there, and then I really haven't been doing much gaming at all. Other than I played a little bit of Final Fantasy X as well on PS4, and what's that other one? The Valkyria Chronicles. Beyond that, though, nothing crazy. I've been really busy. I got a new position at work, so I've been kind of a little more focused on that and trying
Ka-ching.
to do some real life stuff.
Ka-ching.
Never fun.
No, really not. But I enjoy it, so
Yeah.
it's work. All right. Well, why don't we get into our contributor question for the week?
All right.
Last episode, we asked, what are your thoughts on movies based on video games? And we got a couple of responses. So without any further ado, let's head over to... I say that every single time, don't I?
What?
Without any further ado.
Hey,
I think I do. I think I'm catching myself.
this is
With
further
no
ado.
I think you do.
This is further. This is further
And Marcus
ado to
plays with
lying.
two.
Oh my god!
What a poetic podcast this is.
3 years, Mark. All right. Let's head on over to our contributors and hear about what they think.
Hello everyone, Eric here, and the Frozen North guys asked a pretty simple question. How do you feel about video game movies? Well, I think my general feeling on them is that they probably just should never be made. It's very rare that you see a movie that's based on a video game that does well at all or is even put together well at all. The only one that comes to mind that is okay, and it's stretching it here, that is, it's okay, is the 1995 Mortal Kombat, and even that is bad. But I mean, if you enjoy the campy nature of the film and how it tries to take what little narrative there was from the Mortal Kombat games and put it into a film, there can be some appreciation there, but it's not. It's still bad. It's still a bad movie. Then you have Super Mario Brothers in 1993, and that movie is, if someone had been told what Mario was verbally, and then the director had no vision of like what the actual game was, then you got that. Then you have what works the best, or at least has worked the best so far, is where you take something that's not a video game, you create a property entirely and set it in a universe based around video games, which is Wreck-It Ralph. Now, Wreck-It Ralph is not a video game, but it did feature many cameos, like Pac-Man. I think Zangief from Street Fighter is in there as well, and Q*bert, and Pac-Man Ghost, and Sonic. It uses them very limitedly, but very, very well in that film. But the movie on its own is not really based on a existing video game. So overall, I would say video game movies probably should not exist, but if you had to do it, make it based around video games like Wreck-It Ralph did. I don't know. I'm hopeful for the Warcraft movie and the Assassin's Creed movie. They seem like they could be okay, but I won't be surprised if they're not. Well, that's all I have for you this week. Thank you, JJ, Mark, and Brian, and I'll see you all later.
Hey guys, Mark the Machine here. Video game movies suck. That's not just my opinion, and I'm sure it won't be unpopular today. But I can take it one step deeper than I think anyone else will. Movies based on video games suck because the media machine that makes movies is so wildly out of touch, so desperately clamoring for profitability, so willing to make any concession necessary to appeal to as wide a net as possible, that the spirit of the game is entirely lost. But more than that, because Big Hollywood thinks that all it takes is to put a name on a thing and give a decent celebrity top billing, and because it is called Doom or Tomb Raider or Resident Evil, that we will all buy tickets and give them money. Basically, my thesis here is that Hollywood hates video games, and more than that, takes gamers for fools. And my answer to combating them time and again is to do what many of us continue to do. Ignore those movies. Stay with me here. Let's look at the facts. Rotten Tomatoes has not one video game movie over 50%. Metacritic has Mortal Kombat as the top-rated movie-based video game at 58%. And if you aren't aware, Metacritic is an aggregate score of all professional critics. So that's not just one number. That is the average of them. The cumulative best of the best in video games and cinema is a D-. And look at the directors who get the privilege to helm these movies. Uwe Boll, credited as the worst director of all time. He received so many insults from his supposed fans on a Kickstarter that he quit the business, we hope. Roger Ebert, the critic we can all name when asked for one, had a personal vendetta against video games as a storytelling medium. Because he was old? Maybe. Because he was foolish? Unlikely. The man saw the threat that the video game industry presented. Rather than a passive medium where we all sit back and watch Arnold butcher English but blow stuff up, we now have an industry where storytelling can be interactive. And sure, at the rise of our favorite hobby, all you needed story-wise was toads who like to do battle, a boy who delivers papers in a crazy neighborhood, or a ninja from a small town named Gaiden. I posit that filmmakers even then saw the writing on the walls. Entertainment on a passive level can only take them so far. And much like the war between oral storytellers and the printing press, the war of cable TV versus streaming internet, we've been in the midst of a war between film and video games. Consider this. When video game developers make games that are loving tributes to movies, they change the landscape of the movie that they're paying an homage to. Aliens begets Doom and Quake and redefines guns in games. Indiana Jones begets Tomb Raider and Uncharted, and now we get to really live out the wild adventures. Bruce Lee influences Street Fighter, Tekken, and Virtua Fighter, and now we can all perform his moves. And you watch The Walking Dead, or could you play The Last of Us? No question which I would pick. But go back the other way and see what kind of butchery happens. Kids love Fast and Furious. There's a game called Need for Speed. Get Jesse from Breaking Bad. It'll be a hit for sure. 39 out of 100 on Metacritic. Kids love The Matrix. My grandson says there's a game that has bullet time nonsense. Max Payne. Terrible name, I know, but hey, Marky Mark is available. And I hear the main character has brown hair. We're all set. 31 out of 100 on Metacritic. Hey, you know what? These nerds have a lot of money with their IT jobs and their no wives and kids. You know what they need? A movie about a game where chicks with big racks fight each other. It'll make millions. Dead or alive. 38 out of 100 on Metacritic. And we all know Super Mario Brothers. All I'll say is this. Bob Hoskins was the greatest Smee who ever Smeed on Hook, and John Leguizamo as Tybalt in the 96 Romeo and Juliet is arguably the best performer on the set, and those two could not save this movie. The people who make movies are older and getting older. The best movies coming out right now are based on comics written 60 years ago, or rehashings of movies done 10 to 35 years ago. We're on our 17th Saw movie coming up this Halloween, and I'm pretty sure there's a scene where trapped executives literally beat a dead horse for 12 full minutes. The people who are telling the best stories are either writing books, go read the Expanse series if you haven't, or writing video games, or both, because film is dying, and video games are ever rising to their rightful place as the greatest storytelling method since the printed word. Ratchet & Clank didn't need a movie to be great. Those games were already compared to the best Pixar has to offer, and it was true. But the movie bombed. What does that tell you? Duncan Jones' newest movie is Warcraft, which is currently bombing and getting terrible reviews. Duncan Jones has previously directed Moon, the greatest sci-fi independent film ever made. So an award-winning director with top-level talent can't translate the medium well. It's not meant to be translated, but that won't stop the industry from trying to catch a buck off us. Stop buying movies that are based off video games. Stop buying tickets. Stop buying DVDs. Eventually, they'll go away. Thanks, guys.
And we're back. Thank you very much to our contributors for helping us out with those. I mean,
a couple of hot takes.
Yeah, kind of pretty common consensus that
I disagree.
It's a bad idea. Oh, you think it's a good idea to make?
I like video.
I was going
to try and keep that going, but I
just can't do it.
So, I mean, how do you guys do you I mean, I think we all pretty much do agree for the most part.
Yeah.
Video game movies are garbage.
Yeah. I'd say it's kind of like you're taking, kind of as Mark said, an interactive medium where the compelling thing about a game is that you are the character in the world.
Yep.
Controlling him, like the story's happening to you because that's your character you have agency with. And then in a movie, when they take that away, it also then kind of reveals the biggest problem with gaming is that games in general are some of the worst written forms of pop media. Like, even really written game stories don't always stack up. Like, The Last of Us is kind of the best story we've ever had in a video game. And even that's like, okay, you know, it's probably, you know, if you compare it to books, it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm also going to say there was a long time when Hollywood didn't know how to make comic book movies.
Yeah.
And so for a long time it would have been true to say they just shouldn't try.
Right.
But eventually they figured out something that worked. Well, some of them, not DC. Some of the people out there figured out how to make decent comic book movies.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's outside of the realm of possibilities, but it's certainly not happening right now.
And I think that it's possible for a good video game movie to happen, certainly. And I think Warcraft sounds like probably the closest we've gotten so far, despite currently sitting at a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes. But it seems like the problems with that are less it's a video game adaptation and more like the script is kind of bad.
Yeah.
Like Duncan Jones was brought in like halfway through, and they
and that's
threw out half the script. So I mean, it's like that's gonna be bad for any movie.
And I've made jokes about this before, but it seems like it's true that any time a video game movie is announced, they first come out and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna make this awesome video game or movie adaptation of a video game, and we've signed this amazing director," and then you don't hear anything, and then a year later, this director has stepped down, and this new novice director is now taking on the project.
I mean,
How
long has that Warcraft movie been in development for now? Like, they announced it in like 2005.
I think you're right.
I was still in school, either high school or college when they announced it, and then there was years where they did not say a word about it until like in the last 3 or 4 years they finally started. Like that movie has been in development for a long, long time.
I think it's because nobody actually wants to make them.
That could be.
They're just trying to cash in, like some of our contributors said. But the directors don't really want to make it. The writers don't want to be there. I doubt that they've been working on it hard the entire time. It's probably they signed some agreements, and then when they got around to it.
I feel like trying to work fan service in is usually the worst thing, too.
Yeah.
If you made like a Splinter Cell movie, and the only things that had to do with the Splinter Cell games were Sam Fisher, and it's about spy stuff.
Yeah.
And they just went fresh from there. That could be pretty okay. But they would try to work in, like, here's like, the thing from the game where he flips down his little goggles, and here's that gun, and here's some character we mentioned once, and then you're just like groaning as they're hammering this stuff in.
I think it also suffers a little bit from like when you see movies that were made, years and years ago, and then all of a sudden they come up with a remake of it. And, I mean, how often do those turn out really good?
Right.
Like, I couldn't think of any off the top of my head, so I was looking around. But perfect example, Clash of the Titans. The original is a classic.
Yeah.
And really, really good. And then the new one came out, and like, did anybody even really care? Like, it's
they said release the Kraken. They've got that into the vernacular,
right? But it's like you're kind of taking something from its original form, and you're trying to just, I don't know, it almost becomes contorted and unrecognizable because of what you're doing to it, trying to just add in, like you said, that fan service and make it newer and better, I guess, is
without even understanding what made it good in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's impossible. Like, I'm going to actually, like, I will have so many people that disagree with me on this. The Final Fantasy movie. A lot of people dislike it because it wasn't Final Fantasy. It doesn't go along with what made Final Fantasy great. Which I agree with, absolutely. It wasn't,
Spirits
like,
Within.
Yeah. It wasn't like fantasy based. It didn't have like where you're putting together your party and you're taking down this big bad enemy and stuff like that.
I kind of liked that movie.
That's what I was gonna say. If you take it just as a regular movie, it's really not that bad. The thing that made it suck is that they slapped the Final Fantasy title on it, and that's the problem. Is that they are literally just doing exactly what the machine was saying, what Mark was saying. They're just using the name and being like, hey, let's just grab the whole bunch of crap, throw it in there, slap the title on it. People will buy it and pay for it and go to see it just because of that. And that's the problem. Yeah. I honestly thought the movie was good too.
I think kind of video game fans can be the worst part of that problem. Because like you look at some of the comments on the Assassin's Creed trailer, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. They have this whole like harness that he's in now because, I mean, it's a movie, so you can't just have him lying in a bed the whole time.
Right.
Then it's also like, oh, he's doing like, while he's flipping around, he's actually flipping around, and that's how he's getting better in the Animus because he's getting better in the real life. But like the comments about this and every like trailer posted on YouTube are so vitriolic, and everyone's like, "Why? That's not how it was in the game. In the game, the Animus was a bed that you lay in." And I'm like, ah. And so then like that's you get your focus groups and your bean counters like, "Oh, the fans want this, guys. Oh, what do we got to give the fans what they want."
Agreed. And I can tell you, like, obviously I have not seen the Warcraft movie yet, but I can tell you already what the biggest problem with it is. Too much flash. They're trying to make it look way too cool when the whole point of what made Warcraft great was its story.
Yeah.
If they just focused on that, you don't need all this extra super crazy.
It's true.
CGI stuff and everything like that. Like some of the reviews were saying, like it reminds me of one of those cell phone game commercials that you see.
I've heard a lot of people compare it to Willow too, just like not in quality
Now I
of
wanna see
storytelling,
it.
but like it's just that very earnest, super like costumey fantasy. Like takes itself very, very seriously, which is the opposite of what Warcraft does.
Right.
So,
and the problem that a problem with it. Duncan Hines, the director.
Duncan Jones.
Why did I say Duncan Hines?
Because you're hungry for donuts.
Yeah, I don't know why. Duncan Jones. He was at BlizzCon a couple years back when they first were talking about like the movie actually being put into production and stuff, and people were rightfully concerned. They were like, you're not going to ruin this for us, are you? Like, come on. Which that's a stupid thing to say, first of all, because nothing can ruin something that's already set in stone if it's already great.
Right.
But he said, if this movie isn't as good or better than the quality of The Lord of the Rings, then I think we've failed. And it's like, what? Why would you even try to make that comparison?
Right.
Like, come on.
Because you're not making Lord of the Rings, you're making Warcraft.
Right. Like, it's mind-boggling that you would even throw that. Now I want donuts, for real. I do kind of want donuts. But yeah, so I think we're all on the same page that it's just a bad idea. Can it be done? I'm sure it can.
Yeah,
absolutely. But until they stop looking at it as something they can just slap a title onto and get dollar signs out of it by adding big names to it and whatnot, it's not gonna.
I feel like
great.
I think Assassin's Creed is maybe the best bet currently going for like being a pretty decent movie on its own. Because just judging from the trailer, it is not soaked in fan service.
Yeah,
it looks like they're kind of doing it. It's not like a storyline from the game to. This is some like an ex-con or something who was executed that they've brought in. So they're doing something that has not been seen in a game before.
Hopefully, it can measure up to the quality of the Dragon Ball movie. I think we can all agree with that, right?
Sure,
that was spectacular.
Let's try to keep things grounded, Jake.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't want unrealistic expectations here. Oh, man. All right, cool. Well, anybody else got anything to say about that subject? Cool. I think we covered it pretty good. Solid. We're a little light on news today. I think Mark's got a couple of things he wanted to bring up. What do you got?
I'm just going to throw some random news out there.
Do it.
The GTX 1070 was announced and is beating the 980 Ti and the Titan X, which are like, $600,000? And this thing is $350.
Yeah, but by not like a narrow margin, almost double the performance on some metrics.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's a pretty huge deal for PC gamers.
Yeah.
And JJ might want to pick up one of those here in a few months when he builds his new PC.
We'll see. Might
Let's
be cheaper.
see. What else should we talk about? AMD's also announced a card that's $200 that competes with the 970.
Huh.
Actually, no, it actually competes with the 1070. It's not quite as good, but it's getting close. Sorry, I'm just reading headlines here and going off memory. This is a last-minute job. Let's see. Tabletop Simulator has added Vive support.
I did see that. That's pretty exciting.
That's exciting for me, too.
Yep.
JJ's got it. He doesn't have a Vive, so we'll be experiencing the real tabletop simulation.
I would not be able to run a Vive on my current PC.
Fair enough. Overwatch is a global hit with 7 million players and counting.
I'm pretty fan of it. It's pretty good. I played maybe like an hour of it. I like it.
When I do get my new PC, that's when I'll be checking it out. For sure.
I've been kind of ignoring this game, but I looked at all the characters. There are a lot of characters in this game.
There's a ton of characters, and they're all very distinct.
Yeah.
Like, every character has a very
and it's Blizzard.
different
They're
hook.
giving each one of them like their own backstory and everything like that, which is pretty cool.
Like, the lore is pretty interesting. I wish they're doing these cinematic trailer movie deals.
Can't wait to see that Overwatch movie. Am I right?
Right. I would watch if Blizzard did like a web series or something of Overwatch lore.
Yeah,
like I would check into that because the 4 clips they've done so far are fantastic.
Yep.
Like the character design, it's Blizzard, so their design is always just going to be tight and on point.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean Overwatch is a little light, but it's kind of that light where it's like you pick it up, play it for 10 minutes, put it down, play it again.
Heck yeah.
Whatever.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to have to pick that up. I didn't see anything else that was worth mentioning.
Okay. You had such a serious look on your face when you said that. All right, cool. As always, you can go to our website and check out the links in the episode description for links to those news. And I think most of these just came from Reddit, which will probably have the links on there too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you'd like to email us, please do so at frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com. Our website is fngaming.net. Our Facebook is facebook.com/thefrozennorth. Our Twitter is @FNPodcast. Our blog is frozennorthpodcast.blogspot.com. Our Twitch is twitch.tv/frozennorthgames, where usually on Wednesday and Thursday nights, if I'm able to, I will be streaming on there, usually between 6 and 9 p.m. And then our YouTube, Frozen North Gaming.
Heck yeah.
So, and we're on iTunes.
Head on over to that YouTube if you would like to hear the D- of gaming podcasts a day
Like,
early.
subscribe, and follow.
Yeah, and actually the video game book club that we're gonna be recording later today, I'll have it up next week. I'm gonna try and put it out the weekend before E3, so that it's up there. 2 things I want to say about that actually. One, there's going to be a 3-week break before our next episode instead of a 2-week, because literally it would be like coming back and then recording the next day. And I want to make sure we've all had the time to kind of look at the E3 stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot
we have in there.
Let some
absorb.
of the excitement and the fear wear off.
Right.
A little more level-headed.
So there will be a 3-week break before episode 90. And then the video game book club, I'm only going to put that on YouTube. That won't be on iTunes. Oh. So I know, kind of an odd choice. It will be on our whatchamacallit, blog and stuff too as well. But I really want to drive some more traffic over to YouTube, so that's where it's going to be.
Nice.
All right. Let's talk some VR, guys.
Let's talk about that virtual reality.
So you guys both have the Vive.
Yeah.
And I had the chance to go over to Mark's place and try it out over there. Got to try out Job Simulator a little bit and the Blue, and both very, very cool. And just from my initial impressions, I'll go first since I have the least amount of experience, clearly. But when you put the thing on and you get this first look literally into another world, the first thing that I thought was like, yeah, this is amazing, this is cool, but like where this could eventually lead to
Yes.
is like, holy crap.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable. I was kind of like, the first game that I played was the Blue, and so you've just got, it's literally just watching sea creatures swim by you underneath the ocean and stuff, and I mean, I'm like kind of reaching out wanting to touch these things, and just it was just mind-blowing how absolutely spectacularly real it looked. And it literally was like I was there. And I could hear Mark, in the background going, "Can you see okay? Are you okay? Can you
Do you want to adjust this? Or
if you push
How's
this
your
button?"
IPD?
Yep.
But I mean, like, just seeing everything and hearing the sounds, and it was just really, really cool. And then I got to play Job Simulator, which I poked fun at.
Job
so
Simulator
much.
is impossible to describe.
It really is.
Because literally all you do is you just do mundane things that sound so boring to talk about.
Yep. But the fact that you're doing them in this virtual world,
Yeah.
like I was in a kitchen and I was making breakfast for people. That's what I was doing. And then I saw this wine bottle, and I was like, I wonder if I can throw it. Picked it up, threw it across the room. Sure enough, shattered. And I'm like, holy crap! Like, and you're able to pick up things and move stuff around, and it's all in real time, and it's just really, really something you have to experience. I'm going to let you guys do the bulk of the talking because you obviously have the most experience with this stuff. So whoever wants to take it first, go for it.
Well, I'm just going to say I had my first. I forgot I was in virtual reality moment. Actually, yesterday.
Welcome to the club.
Nice.
Because I was playing Pooh Nation VR. As we like to call it here. I was having a little too much fun.
Awful.
I was like,
The whole country, though. The whole thing.
I was throwing bottles left and right, smashing them on walls. I filled up this wastebasket with glass
waste.
shards with poo, and then I tried to kick it. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm not literally.
I have no feet in VR.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It was pretty cool, and
I did that the very first time I was running the tutorial in the Vive. It's like you're in a big white like aperture, whatever their thing, like the white room with the little paper cutout people. And there's a personality sphere who's like walking you through how to use the controllers, how to move around. Here's chaperone. Here's how it all works. And at one point, you're like creating balloons out of the wand, and like you can bat them around with the controllers. And I kind of caught one in between the two controllers. Like you do, and you like grab a balloon, you like hold it to yourself and like squeeze it up against your body. And I tried to do that with the virtual balloon, and it like moved through my chest, and like it hurts in a weird way of just like, what is happening? Oh gosh! Like this balloon should be stopping right here, and it's because like your brain's just like everything, like all the little things are tracked so well. Like your hands are moving like they should, your head's moving like it should. Mm-hmm. So it kind of just assumes that other stuff will be there. Like I had a couple moments I told you about, like in Job Simulator, in the car mechanics section. Like the guy asked for a air freshener to be put in his car, so I grabbed an air freshener off the rack, and I put my hand on the hood of the car and like lean in to like.
Oh no!
And I fell all the way to the ground because there was no car there. There was nothing for me, and I just, without even thinking about it, put all of my weight on a virtual car. And fell over.
put all your weight on nothing.
Right. And it was just kind of
That's awesome.
like it's just your brain just thinks it makes sense.
Yeah. As far as like impressions and what I was expecting before and what I got out of VR, I would say the things I was most concerned about turned out to be non-issues, like the resolution and like the blur around the lenses they don't bother me at all once I get into a game.
It's like you're aware of it for about 30 seconds when you first put it on.
Yeah.
And then it's just you just fall right in.
I don't even care that you can, like, if you're looking for it, you can maybe find the gap between pixels since it's so close to your face. That doesn't bother me at all. What does unfortunately bother me is that it turns into a swamp in that headset.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the drawbacks that we're seeing so far.
Yeah. There's a lot of wiring involved.
Yeah. That was going to be my number one thing, is like the fact, like all the equipment that I had to wear while I was doing it. After playing for how long was I playing? Like 20 minutes?
20 or 30
like
minutes,
30 minutes. It really weighed down. Like I could definitely feel it. Like I was wearing gear. Which kind of took me out of it a little bit, and honestly, like I found myself at times not wanting to turn too fast or do things because I was mindful of that stuff, and I didn't want to like break anything or ruin anything or whatever. But that was kind of the biggest thing that I noticed was that part, and also I will admit I was expecting like
a wider field of view.
Yeah. It almost looked like you're looking through a porthole kind of a thing. Because
or like ski goggles.
Yeah, exactly. Which I mean, granted, it's after you're playing for 2 minutes, it doesn't really matter. But I don't know. At first, it was kind of like, oh, I can totally see, the edges and the black around the.
I think it's kind of like you said that you stop noticing that pretty quickly. Like you don't notice what's in your peripheral vision most of the time,
right?
Because like you're wherever you're focused, and everything else kind of drifts away. I did see a cool mod that someone at Microsoft was working on.
Oh, yeah, they're talking about the LED lights?
Yeah, it's LEDs. They track whatever the average color is in the scene, and they like cast that on the inside of the eyepieces.
Oh, cool.
So like
'Cause you don't see
proof
in
instead of being
detail
just black,
anyway.
right? It's just like
Yeah.
a fuzzy color of what color it should be.
Interesting.
And a lot of people are like, oh yeah, this is actually like 100% better with this little bit of extra light in there. So kind of cool.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the biggest thing with VR is this is Gen 1.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's heavy. It especially I sweat a lot as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I sweat just podcasting. But putting that thing on, if I'm wearing that thing for 15 minutes, the foam around my eyes is starting to get damp, and it's a mess. And the cables are an issue.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a few mods online, like using a carabiner to like clip it to your belt.
Yeah.
And that like makes sure the cable stays.
I've seen some people
yeah.
like suspend it from the ceiling.
Yeah.
And the last thing that is kind of an issue for me is it still doesn't feel like it's super secure on my head. Like if I look down, it starts to like drift up. I have to worry about it falling off.
Yeah.
Oh, one more final thing before I stop crapping all over it. Glasses. It's better than the Oculus Rift,
Yeah.
but when I take the headset off, my glasses go with it every time.
Yeah.
Which there's a
Yeah.
there's a solution for this one, thankfully, which is called VR Lens Lab. They're making custom lenses that you can buy
And actually install in the frame.
Exactly. They're low profile. They go right into the frame.
Yeah.
And I won't have to wear glasses anymore.
No, we were talking about one of the big drawbacks is the amount of movement that you have, like where you can go. Because if you're like okay, let's take a game that I would like to play, like something that's like you're exploring a freaking dungeon.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah, like or a budget cuts or anything, something that benefits from walking.
right.
Yeah.
That's going to be tough to do because you literally like that was another kind of a, I don't want to say it was a drawback because it really wasn't that big of a deal, but I did notice it when I first put the thing on, was how small the play area was.
And
Yeah.
it
And
can be
that's-
bigger than that. It's just the limitation of my room.
Yeah, and that's the
This
big
is your
thing
fault.
is
Yes.
like in my place right now, I've got like literally I have a couch shoved down a hallway, like completely blocking the hallway. I have to crawl over it to get to my bedroom. But so I have the kind of kitchen dining room areas completely empty.
Right.
And so I have about 10 by 10 that I can walk around in.
Oh, cool. Wow.
And that does make a huge difference
Yeah.
because I've just done it like standing only a few times. Or just with a small, before I moved all the furniture and I kind of like
Right.
worked with what space I had. That does make a ginormous difference, but that's something a lot of people can't commit to
Yeah.
clearing out. You know, like, I don't, in your apartment, where would you put your furniture?
Exactly.
You know, like
Yeah.
where would you move stuff to even free up that much space? And that's
You essentially have to have a room dedicated to it,
right.
Yep.
and it's got to be a good size room as well.
Yeah.
But like, what if you're exploring a huge area?
Exactly.
You know?
Even the biggest space you could get isn't going to satisfy what you can do in a game.
Right, because it's not going to be, go anywhere, do anything.
So like there's the big way that a lot of games are handling that right now is, how do I even describe this? You
Teleportation.
essentially teleport yourself around and then you have your room space around you in that new
Right.
location.
Yep.
The
Which
thing I wish
is-
more of them would do is let you reposition that room space.
Yeah.
Because I had a few times where it's like my space a little longer. So it's like the long end, and like I want to just rotate this so I can walk down this little piece of wall instead of
Yeah.
having to teleport 3 times. Mm-hmm. But most of them don't let you rotate your.
I think what people have to
teleport.
understand is, in video games, we've been finding elegant little refinements on things that we've solved for decades, like
Right.
things that we haven't had to worry about how to have 3D movement work on a controller since Mario 64. So
Yeah.
now it's just like little tweaks to make it just a little bit better.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've ever had to solve these problems.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a blunt instrument right now, but
Sure.
it will become more refined over
That's
time.
some of the solutions people are talking about, like the Unreal and Unity people are doing a ton of work with VR, and they're posting some videos like, here's a new teleportation method we're trying, or here's a different locomotion style.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge discussion in VR dev right now, which is interesting because it's like you said, we've never had to have that discussion.
Exactly.
Well, and even with the limitations, there's still certain things you can do. Like we talked, like Myst would be an
Yeah.
awesome game
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
for something like this.
And the VR game from the guys who made Myst is coming out in July.
See, that's actually what I'm really excited about is now that these things are out and E3 is in a couple of weeks, I'm hoping to see some really in-depth games.
That I'll say is, with all the kind of technical issues, the biggest problem with the VR in general right now is the software. It's just not there yet.
Yep.
And it makes sense.
If you're not a crazy person like Mark and myself, don't buy one right now.
Right.
Like, wait a little bit. Wait till there's a killer app. Wait till you see people like, you have to play this game.
Let the people who are intense about it right now work out all the kinks.
Exactly.
For sure.
Like, once there's a like $60 game, it's a full experience from like beginning to end in VR. It'll be
Once
ready.
we have like a Half-Life for VR
Yeah.
or a Halo for VR or whatever you want, then it'll be something.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's some cool technology being worked on too, like galvanic vestibular simulation, where you put these two little quote-unquote electrodes behind your ears, and it can give you the sense of locomotion, like you actually feel like you're moving around when you're not. That could be an interesting
Sounds
solution
unpleasant.
for.
I was going to say,
well,
It
it's
just
supposed to
shorts out and suddenly you're falling forever.
I don't
get ready to lean on some more cars.
That would suck. But no, that could present a way to deal with, like, if we decided to go the omnidirectional treadmill route, that might be the way to handle motion without you getting sick. There's a lot of technology that's coming out that could be the solution, but we'll see which one actually wins.
I'll say with the one experience I've had so far that actually made me motion sick was in Lucky's Tale. Because there's like a hack you can download. To anything you get on the Oculus store, you can play with the Vive with this little hack. And Oculus is like designed for seated experience. Like the way everything is set up right now, all the games they have, they expect you to be seated in a chair facing forward. And so with the Vive, it's like, I'll launch into it, and I can just get up and I can walk all the way around. And Lucky's Tale is like a Mario 64 style platformer. But the camera only ever assumes you're sitting where you started. And so when I got up and like kind of walked around behind it a little bit and was like looking at the path I wanted to take and started moving, and the camera moved as if I was still sitting like 180 degrees away, and I almost fell over. I had to sit, like, just take the headset off and sit down really fast because it was like that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Did you get
felt,
sick?
Not sick, but like I felt terrible, like down in the pit of my stomach and very uneasy, and just had to take it off. And
Actually, I should mention, I haven't been motion sick yet.
Yeah.
Because of how it works in a like room scale.
And we've had those couple years now of dev units like figuring out what things do make people sick, and they're solving for that already. Like the quantum leap from Oculus DK1 to now, when like the only thing you could do with that was like play source games. It's phenomenal.
And I want to say, I've been saying this for years to you and Brian when we talked about like the Kinect and how they're not doing anything with the Kinect and how the Wii kind of fizzled out.
Right.
And I've always said the problem isn't inherent to motion controls. The problem is people aren't creative enough to figure out what to do with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with virtual reality, motion controls work and make sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of phenomenal.
Like I was showing my Vive to someone who's not a gamer at all, never plays video games, just put it on, got into Job Simulator in the kitchen. First thing she did was she saw the bottle of wine, just grabbed it, popped the cork off, poured a glass of wine, and drank it.
It just makes sense.
And because
because those are your hands.
Right. You don't have to do any gamey things to make that happen.
It was amazing to me how responsive it really was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because you as a gamer, you expect some sort of a delay when it comes to motion controls, or that it's not going to register every single time or something like that. I cannot think of anything that I did in there where it didn't register what I was doing.
Right. Exactly.
So
I've had a couple times where, like, if I get into the far corner of my room, or like the bookshelf, and my body starts to get in the way of the tracking,
right,
and like the controllers start like drifting away into space because they're like, I don't know where I am. But other than that,
I enjoyed in Job Simulator when I dropped one of my controllers and I looked down and my hand was laying over in the corner.
It's a terrible kitchen accident. Oh gosh! Don't tell the manager.
Yeah, you take out that layer of abstraction that you get with looking at a screen.
And using
And
twin joysticks.
Exactly. It becomes so much more intuitive.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Cool. Anybody got anything else?
I got Audio Shield. You should get Audio
Nice.
Shield.
What does that do?
It's
like
like
that.
Audio Surf, like on the PS2. You know, it's or like
Oh, it's a game.
Yeah. Like Guitar Hero, those kind of like rhythm games. The notes are flying at you,
Oh,
and
cool.
only they're like these balls flying around. They're all like in a 180-degree arc in front of you and up and down. And you have a shield on each arm. You have a blue shield and a red shield, and you can combine them to make a purple shield. And you just have to like bat the balls out of the sky as they're flying
Interesting.
towards you, and you can put your own music in it. It's really, really cool.
Huh.
Really, really good.
Sounds like it'll turn my headset into a swamp.
Yep.
You do get a little sweaty.
Brian does call you the swamp monster.
It's not inaccurate.
Nope. All right, then I guess that wraps up our discussion on VR first impressions. I mean, I'm sure in the future, we'll have more to say when the PSVR comes out, and obviously after
Yeah.
E3 and whatnot. But
Those Vives are starting to show up in stores, so I bet you'll be able to get a demo soon.
yeah,
The Microsoft store at Oak Park Mall has one.
There you have it.
I mean, as of right now, it's kind of just literally like we said. You can just see the potential,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
You can see a bright, amazing future somewhere down the line.
listening to us talk about it really does not do it justice. You
No.
really have to experience it for yourself.
Right.
Like Tank said, though, I agree 100%. I wouldn't go out and buy it unless you're super passionate about doing this,
If you're a crazy early adopter type.
Or if you're like
for it.
super rich.
or if you're super rich.
Yeah, I mean-
But find a friend who's got it, give it a shot there, or go to one of these places that's going to have it on display or something like that, and try it out, just so you can get a feel for it. Because I guarantee you, once you put that on, you'll be like, holy crap. This is wow. All right. Well, our contributor question for episode 90 is, it's going to be the one after E3, like I said, in about 3 weeks. What got you excited from this year's E3? Simple, short, and sweet. So,
Suikoden 6.
you wish.
One
Last
can
Guardian
hope.
release
I wish
date.
to. Did you see they are making Suikoden the pachinko machine?
Oh, of course they are.
Yep.
They're making a Metal Gear Solid pachinko machine too.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh no, it wasn't Suikoden. It was Metal Gear Solid. That was the one that I saw. That's right. Yeah. Good old Konami.
It's
Man.
cheap.
What a bunch of ruiners.
But so yeah, let us know what got you excited from E3. Send it over to frozennorthpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll either read your responses on the air or we'll play your submission like we did for the guys that submitted theirs before.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Coincidentally, that is also all that I've got.
All right. Well, with that, this is the Frozen North signing off for episode number 89. And, man, I get to go to E3.
That's exciting.
I'm excited.
Must be nice.
Woo! All right. My name is JJ.
My name is Swamp Monster.
My name is Tank.
And as always, keep on gaming. Just not with poo, Mark.
Our theme song was made available through the Creative Commons Attribution license by Ziphoid. The song title is Radical Fanfare.